my dear Sitecore family. So today we have Meenakshi again with us. Meenakshi Gaur has been at Horizontal for 6 years now.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, 6 years, and she is a senior DX engineer. And today we are here to discuss about XM Cloud. And so she's been working on an XM Cloud project for more than a year now,
1
right?
year, yeah.
So I'm sure she has some best practices, some tips and tricks for us. So let's just get started. So Meenakshi, first of all, thank you for your time, and thank you for being on Sitecore Tech Talks. Let's get started. What do you think we should get started on for as far as XM Cloud goes? So let me build it out for you. I'm a person who's going to start on XM Cloud for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I get started, or what do you think is a good thing from a tips and tricks perspective for me to get started on XM Cloud?
Sure. We can, this is a big topic. We can have some discussion regarding how we can start. First of all, thank you for having me again on your show. It's been pleasure having here and talking about the Sitecore technologies. So, if you have worked on the Sitecore XP instances and you start your journey on the XM Cloud, you can we can always talk about the technologies or terminologies which you are familiar, and we can relate that. Okay, earlier we had this one, and now we have this feature, or this is how we can relate.
Sure.
So first of all, anyone will invite you to the XM Cloud because you will be always send an invitation, and from there you can start your journey with the XM Cloud. You have your login password and you can start. Once you are in the XM Cloud, you will see almost similar dashboard of your Sitecore. There would be some different features because it's an XM instead of having your XP. It is your cloud thing. So you will see some differences, but it is designed in such a way you will find most of the things are similar. Like you'll have your content editor, you'll have your dashboard, everything would be similar. Your PowerShell, your recycle bean, everything inside dashboard. Once you are logged in, you can relate that, oh, I'm familiar with this UI, and it would be good. You can with just plug and play, you can go to the system.
Right.
So first, starting with the sites, recently Sitecore have launched its XM sites thing. Inside that sites, what you can do is, for example, you have in your organization or your brand which have multiple sites, or you can say microsites. You have regions, and inside regions you have multiple sites. So in that particular architecture or structure, how you can have your sites. So initially, like if you compare with the XP, what you will do, you will have your tenants. Inside your tenants, you will have your sites. Inside sites, you will create your structures. But now with XM sites, you will have a better UI, or you can say like a good experience with UI in managing those sites. So how it is different, like when you can structure your site, you will create a site collection. Inside site collection, you will have your multiple sites. When I say site collection, you can relate it to the Sitecore tenant.
Yeah, correct.
Inside that, you can have your different regions. So in your Asia specific collection, you can have India and all those things inside that. So with even like non-technical users, if you have created different templates, so when let's talk like how you can have different things.
So let me stop you before we go further. So you're saying this XM Cloud sites section, right?
Yes.
So site section was always there. We used to see those multiple sites as
via content, Sitecore content tree.
Yeah, and also the site's UI was there.
Yeah.
We used to see those icons with some like the name of the site and stuff like that. A thumbnail was available. So how is this site? So the site collection things that you mentioned, how is it visible, and how do I go there? Like, is it the same site's dialogue, or the UI available with some differences?
Okay, you can go it through your app. From the app deploy app, you'll see a section called sites. Once you
The
click on
portal app.
sites, yeah, through the portal itself, you can go through the site section. It will have a different UI. We can like site collection UI, where you
Okay.
can manage those sites and everything.
So in that particular portal, when I like go to that site's window where I initially used to go, that sites window will. So is there any difference in that UI? Where, like you mentioned collections, which I am not really clear about right now. So those collections, how do I see those collections? So is there a specific way I can configure something or?
Yep, you can have everything configurable there. So once you go to, I guess we're clear how we can go to the site collection through
I am
the app.
clear. How do I go to the sites section of
Yeah.
the
So once you
website?
reach the site section, on the top of the end, you'll see a button from where you can create your collections, and from once your collection is created, inside that you can create your sites. So for example, I have created a collection of Asia Pacific region. So I have created one site collection there, and inside site collection now I can create the sites. When I go to creating sites, there would be multiple options how I can create my sites. So one of the option would be I can create an empty site. I can create a basic site.
Correct.
So in basic you'll have your home and everything like this.
Yeah, some basic things are by default
Yes,
available.
by default it would be available. And when you select empty, it will create an empty site for you.
Yeah.
Or if you have a requirement, so you know that you are going to create some sites with this way, so you'll have some partial designs, some page designs, and some components by defaultly added to a specific site. And so you are like mostly sure that this component would be needed for sure in my site, so you can create an custom template of that site. When I say custom template, so in next time when you try to create your site, you can choose that and it would create a site from that template for you.
Okay. I would like to step back again because I know from a UI perspective, when I create a new site, I get those two templates.
Yeah.
What you're trying to say is, if I create this template which you're just mentioning, I can have that also in my UI to select from. Like as an example, let's say
You will
microsite.
Yes.
Right? So I create something which can then be available for site creation in those options. Instead of empty and basic, a third option like say microsites can be available.
Yep. Number of sites or number of templates you will create, it will be available in your site types that you can choose from.
Okay.
And, this you will have from the UI. Similar thing you can create it via content tree also, because like developers are more going into GUI side, they prefer going through the content editor or tree side. And this GUI your non-technical or authors can use, and they can create site by themselves and it can host. So for example, there are some campaigns, you can create a campaign type of template.
Right.
So whenever there is new campaign running or new thing coming to the business, they can create from that template you are going to create for them, and they can use it in the same domain that you are hosting, and how everything would be handled.
Sure. So now when we talk of this site template, how do I create it? Where do I create it?
Yeah. So site, when you start thing, you can go to our system setting, and inside settings you will have you can create go to the foundation. Inside foundation you can create a folder that you can identify, okay, my custom sites are residing inside this, and inside that you can have an insert option that you can create any of the site via site template. That site template you can find inside the foundation, which is I guess in Experience Accelerator. From Experience Accelerator there would be foundation, and inside foundation I guess there is site template type of template, and from that once you create it, it will create a type of template for you, and inside that you can give name. Similar thing which you can see in the GUI site, you will have your name, your description that you can identify for which purpose you have created, and from there you can select that in which collection you wanted to set this particular site, because you can have multiple collection as well, and the same and it is like multi-list. You can have same site inside 2 different or 3 like multiple collections as well.
So you can select whatever collections or modules you want for that particular site in that particular template, and those modules will by default be available. So for example, I have created my custom module. Like I have my components in a custom module, and that module of course is available in my system feature or foundations, and then that is being utilized, right? So that particular module I can add in this template. So all those components and partial designs and whatever I have configured will by default be available in this new template. For the site creation.
Yeah, because and there is one option, you can say checkbox, which you can enable and disable whether you wanted to have it shared.
Okay, for shared as well, the configuration is there.
So by default it is shared because you wanted to use some of the existing things, but if you wanted to remove that, you wanted to have specific for this site, you can have that option as well.
Okay, so the content that we create in this microsite kind of a thing will also be able to segregate whether we want to keep it shared or specific.
And similar things, whatever you are doing from the content tree side, you can do it via GUI also. In GUI also, once your sites are created, there is like 3 dots at the end of this site, and from there you can have different things. You can I guess I don't recall exactly, but there would be general, languages, or the settings for this. So in general you can rename or you can delete as well once your site is created. If you don't want to use this further, you can delete it, you can rename, add it, and you can have like there is a language option as well. If you wanted to have your site in multiple languages, you can add the languages accordingly.
So the same sites specific, so I think it is enhanced site creator now, and because initially there were very few options to just rename the site and maybe just look at those sites in boxes. But if you're saying that you can now also manage it in collections, and this other options which you mentioned about language and shared site and all those things.
So languages and all these things are given in a good UI thing. So user will have good experience with the GUI with this.
Cool. Well, I think site and site creation or site management is kind of the first things that we do as a as a developer. We set up a site and we make sure its definitions and all are also there. Well, this is nice because then the enhanced site creator now has all the various options of languages and managing whether it is a shared site or not. Are there any things related to site definition also available?
Yeah, there is. So like there would be an option where you can add it and you can have your site definition inside the sites.
Okay, cool. Always, I mean, of course, content editor is always there. You can go to that section and do the things, but always good to have something enhanced. All right. Well, what next do you think we should pick up?
I guess when we are talking about what XM Cloud is giving us, this is the different feature we have just discussed. We can discuss more about one of the feature, that is IR, which is introduced with the XM Cloud, that is your item as resource. So when you are I guess we all are aware that with XM Cloud there is no web database and master database. We have Edge, whenever we are publishing, it is going to your Edge thing. So IR, because when we worked, this was new for us, and we have some experiences with the how to handle the items. So IR, basically when you go to the item, you will not be able to see directly that whether it is through source or through a database. So whenever you are sending an item through PR, your items,
through serialization.
Through serializations, So when it is serialized and it is sent to the your upper environments, it is always treated as the item as resource. So and basically that file for restoring it. And whenever you change anything in your item as resource, so it creates a copy of that item and stores it as database. So when we say when we change anything, it is moved back to it is stored in the database.
So
And
I'll just hold you back there
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I would like to understand this a little better.
Mhm.
So generally, whether you say XM Cloud or XPs, yes, we serialize items like templates and renderings and layouts,
Yeah,
and also some basic structure of sites as well, right? I mean,
correct.
tenants also we do,
Mhm.
and then sometimes also, the home page and some setting items and stuff like that. We put it in the local,
Mhm.
like we serialize it through local and get it out there.
Yeah.
Not all the content pages.
Correct.
Those items which are going to go through serialization to the environments of XM Cloud, they are called item as resources, right? I know as a developer, I know that these items are going through serialization, right? But as a content author, will they ever know that these items are going through serialization?
Like there is no need for them to know whether it is resource or this, but if content authors wanted to know whether it is this only, there is an option. So in our ribbon there is a section tab called developer. Inside the developer there would be an item source. So basically whether what is the source of item you wanted to see, that you can just checkbox that checkbox and you will be able to, inside the quick information where we can see template ID and everything, there would one more field added, that would be source, and from source you will be able to see that whether it is resource or database. And like generally suppose settings, if I wanted to have settings from the serialized thing, I don't want content authors to edit those things. If they added those things, like one of the thing with IR is that if you wanted to modify that item, it is advisable not to make it as resource, because one challenge with this would be, once your item is created picked up from the database, its copy is created inside the database, whatever you serialized, it would not be affected to that particular item because it's in database copy. If you are adding it via resource as well, then the changes would not be reflected. If you want to make sure that your serialized items are affected, you have to delete the copy of database.
Okay. Again, I would like to hold back and just understand it for myself.
Yeah, sure.
Let's say I have an item about us. I have configured it as IAR. So I have put it in my local, I have configured some things, and I'm getting it out.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a content item, so it's going to be updated by content authors. The moment any content author updates that item, it says it is from database now because it creates a copy of it. And in that case, if I make any further changes and push them out as a serialized item, which item will be visible?
Database.
So the one which content author updated will be visible.
Correct.
So technically, content items should never be done through serialization.
Yep.
And only setting items should be.
Yes.
And even in case of setting items, we should not update them directly on the environment, but rather we should update them in our items as resources.
Yes, exactly. Right? Yeah.
Otherwise, if we make any further updates to those items through serialization, they will never be updated on the further environments.
Yeah, that's what we have learned throughout the project thing.
Because let's say I updated by mistake, then what?
So if you have updated, there would be database copy, and you have made some changes via serialized item and you wanted to reflect your serialized item, so you have to delete that database copy. You have to go to that item, delete that item. When you try to delete that item, it will give you a warning that if you delete this item, your IR resource file would be reverted. Okay. Or it would be take effects. So and you, once you click OK, your resources, like whatever you have serialized, let's say you have serialized 5 things, but it was not reflected because it was database copy. So your all those 5 changes would be reflected on your item once you delete the database copy.
All right. So I think a new terminology which came in here is by default, if I'm deleting an item, it goes away.
Yeah.
Right? In a content tree, I'm not having IAR or anything.
Mm.
I'm having a simple item.
Mhm.
If I right click and delete it, it will go away.
Yeah.
But in case of an item which is IAR,
Mhm.
I mean item as a resource,
Mhm.
if it is a database copy and I delete it and it is also there in IAR,
Mhm.
when I delete that item as a database copy,
Mhm.
it will be reverted to
The
IAR
source.
copy.
Yeah.
What if I delete the IAR copy?
You cannot. You cannot delete the IR copy. You have to delete it via serialization only.
Sorry.
And like
Okay.
Sitecore doesn't provide like directly a way that you can delete the IR copy, but with PowerShell or something, if you wanted to forcefully delete it, you can. But directly with the GUI, you cannot delete the resource copy.
Okay. So if I delete it in my locally serialized items and I push that out, in that case, will that be deleted?
Yeah, it would be deleted.
Right. Okay. So there are two options to delete an IAR copy. Number one is PowerShell, and number two is through serialization. You move it to upper environments.
Yeah, but again, if you delete it via PowerShell, with your next deployment, it would be created again.
So technically, you have to delete it
yeah,
in the
PowerShell way is just quick thing if you wanted to check without PR and all this thing, and it would be again a developer way to tweak things.
It's a workaround basically. Yeah.
But the correct way or best practices, if you want to follow, delete it via serialized items only.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, it is like a good thing to know about the XM Cloud or the IR whenever you are working.
Yep.
Because we generally have practice. So in instance, I can recall that we have made our partial design and page design. If we wanted to have some component, we basically used to do a quick fix and let's test whether it is correct or not. We used to create it in the upper environment, but it is not a good way to work with. It is always preferable you test it on your local, create it, serialize your items, and then check on the upper environments.
Right. All right. Well, any last minute thoughts?
No, basically when you work with the XM Cloud, you will love this and like the new learnings or new ways or what it is providing, and Sitecore generally keeps on updating or adding things in the XM Cloud. There will be always learning path with the XM Cloud things.
Cool. Well, so that was it, and that was Meenakshi for us. Sharing tips and tricks about two things today: sites and site collections and item as resources. So thank you, Meenakshi, for your time, and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Varun. Thank you so much.
Cheers.